Welcome back, guys. We are so glad you could join us again today as we get to sit down with Jesse and Tori Rodriguez. We've had the pleasure of getting to know them over the last little while and have so enjoyed them, and we're just excited for what they're going to share with you guys today. So press in and enjoy.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
We're excited. We like to start every podcast with the hardest question. Are you ready?
Yes.
I might need a minute. But
No worries. Here we go. Go ahead. Take it away.
If you could be any kitchen utensil, what would you be?
I'd say a spatula.
Amen.
You could do everything.
Everything
right?
with a spatula. Yep.
Except eat.
Well, you could
I mean, you
eat
could
with a
if you
spatula.
really needed to.
Yeah, you get that pancake on there and you're like, that's all you need. You can mix with it, flip with it,
Exactly.
scramble.
I use one utensil, and that's a fork, so I'd go with that.
Good put.
Yeah.
Good
I
pick.
cut with a fork. I eat with a fork.
Nice.
How
Nice.
would you eat soup
Grill
with
with a fork. I just don't eat soup.
Oh.
but-
There you go.
That's true, actually.
So in every one you pick, something would have to go. And if soup's it, you'll be okay.
How do you eat steak with a spatula?
Right? Yeah. That's a much better question.
We'll figure out a way.
Guys, I think your answer was brilliant. I don't think you eat steak ever again as a spatula. But no, thank you so much. We love to kind of get that question right out there and just kind of
Because clearly
listen.
it's
Good one.
It's a big question,
one,
right?
yeah.
It's a big question. So really we want to just give you guys an opportunity. We love to hear about the power of Jesus in people's lives. And we love to give people just kind of a forum,
a place.
a place
Great.
to share that so they can impact other people. And so if you guys don't mind, if you could just tell us just a little bit about your childhood and how old were you when you encountered God, what it was like, just take us on that journey.
Sure. You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay. So I was raised in Honduras.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different than West Michigan.
Really?
Just a smidge. Just a smidge.
But in a lot of ways, it was the same for me because, my dad was native Honduran.
Yeah.
My mom was born in Holland or Zealand, somewhere around there. It ended up in Honduras. So I was very much like, my dad spoke to me in Spanish. My mom spoke to me in English.
Sure.
And she homeschooled us in English according to American schooling. So, coming here and living here in the U.S. now doesn't feel all that different
Sure.
from the way I was raised, even though I was raised in a different country.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 13
Okay.
when I came here. So I was homeschooled, doing the whole American schooling thing. And then when I was 8 years old, my mom died. And so when she died, I had to go into the Honduran school system.
Oh my goodness.
Did terrible. Not only are the seasons switched there, like our summer is their school year and their summer is our school year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in order to get into the school year, I had to wait a whole thing. Then I did terrible because I was third grade, had never read or written in Spanish. I could
Sure.
speak it very well, but
Yeah.
I all of a sudden have to go in third grade. When I struggled my way through school, and then when I was 13, I moved to here with a completely different family, and so my parents are still back there, moved in with another family, and then that's how I ended up in West Michigan.
Okay.
But my dad in Honduras is a pastor, so I've always, for as long as I can remember, I've been saved.
That's
So
awesome.
it probably happened when I was really, really little.
Sure.
So that's,
Can I ask you a couple questions about that? Just listen. So you were 8 years old. You said your mom passed away.
yeah,
It had to be a tough time.
it was.
Be a tough time. So now your dad is trying. Now suddenly your dad's he has to be everything.
Mm-hmm.
How did that impact your relationship with your dad?
It's tough. My dad is so like I said, he's a pastor. He's been pastor since well before I was born.
Sure.
And so his church at the time was very different, but we would have Sunday morning church, we'd have Sunday night church, we'd have, and then he was also like the head pastor of several different villages around where we lived. So he would have, one village that he would preach on Monday night, another village he'd preach on Tuesday night, another village he'd preach on Wednesday night.
Sure.
So he was always preaching, and whenever we could go with him, we would, but, how often does an 8-year-old want to go to church every night of the week?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad really wasn't around at that time. It was all my mom, then she passed. So when she passed, similar to my story, how I came and lived with another family, my 2 older brothers had also gone to different families. So when they got the call that my mom was sick, they moved back. And then they stayed at our home for basically the next 6 months. Maybe it was 3 months, I don't know.
Sure.
But they stayed at our house, and they took care of us while my dad was still a pastor.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's tough, man.
Yeah, so I remember cousins would take care of us, or my mom was a missionary, so we had a group of American families in the city that we were friends with, so I would go with them, they would take care of us. In terms of my dad being a dad, it doesn't feel to me
I
like
get it. Yeah.
I really experienced that.
Sure. Sure.
And even now that I'm here in the U.S., when it's church things, he'll update me on church things. Or he'll ask us about our church life, but he won't ask about personal things.
Sure.
So that's like a topic that I don't necessarily talk to him much about.
No, I get
that.
it. Yeah.
And we have 3 kids. He came to meet my oldest, Henry, when he was 9 months old. He's met my middle child once, and he has yet to meet our youngest. It's just,
Yeah.
he's a great dad, but it's just
I
not a
understand.
priority to him.
Nope. I
Yeah.
totally understand. Yeah.
It's
tough.
that's the way it is.
Yeah, no, I get it. I do understand. It's can I ask you a couple questions about it? Just a couple questions in general.
go ahead.
You know what? One of the things we've talked about this lately, when I got saved, Jesus and church and advancing the kingdom that overwhelms all my thoughts all day long. Right? I love God, and I tried really hard to be a good dad, and not let that be the only thing I talk to my kids about. I tried hard to be a good husband. And Mandy, it's the same thing for Mandy, we wake up, we're talking church and those kind of things. It's constantly part of our stuff. But we really have tried hard in our marriage to kind of, be a good example of a husband and wife, and not let our kids think we're a pastor first. But obviously sometimes I'm sure that we've fallen short, right? But with your dad being gone that much and doing everything he was doing, how, you as a husband now, you have kids now, and I think one of the things that helped Austin be the husband that he is watching me and mom be mom and dad, and husband and wife. How has that been for you, trying to navigate that and looking at that and trying to be a better husband and a better dad?
Yeah, it's really, I've given that a lot of thought, because I feel like I don't have, Austin has you guys to look to as a good example.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I had that.
No.
But, when I came here to the U.S., a family took me in, and so they had a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, I lost my mom when I was 8. My dad got remarried, so I got a stepmom, and she's fantastic.
Yeah, good.
And then when I moved here, I had another mom. I wasn't adopted, but
No, I
they're mom
understand.
and dad.
Yeah.
She's watching our kids tonight.
That's amazing.
she's mom.
Yep.
And then he's dad.
Yeah.
And then I get married, and then her mom's mom and her
Sure.
dad's dad. And
Oh,
so
that's beautiful.
My personal dad, there's a lot of things that I wish were different.
Yeah, I understand.
And in a lot of ways, I think most recently I've reached out to him and said, with parenting stuff that we have, I said, did you ever go through this with me? And then that's not a church conversation. That's not a
Right.
checking
Sure.
in on your family or you checking in on my family. It's just the father, son,
Yeah.
did this ever happen with me, Because I haven't lived with him for so long. It's not like I can just call him.
Right.
He lives in another country. And that opens the door for some conversations that give me some insight of like how he did things.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it's just a memory of, I remember doing something, my dad responding that way, and I don't want to do that.
Right.
And so it's like, good, I don't want to do it that way, so I'm going to do it a different way.
Good
And then
for
I
you,
have like my dad here, her dad to
Yeah.
look to of how they did things.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah. Would you agree with that?
I think that's really good, man. I think it's really good, and it's. Can I ask one more question? Well, I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions. We got some time,
All the
but
questions.
like, how did that? When I remember when I first decided that when me and Amanda sat down and first talked about leading churches. I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who had nothing really to do with church. And he said he brought up preachers' kids are always bad or something. I can't remember what he said. I was like, wonder why that is. Like, it didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But I think one of the things I remember talking with someone one time, and their dad had been a pastor, and he went through some struggles with that. And one of the things that it was a struggle for him to look at other leaders the same because of how he felt passed over all the time.
Sure.
Was that something that you felt like you had to overcome or deal with, or it's just such a unique childhood? Like in America, it's hard to wrap my head around sending my kid away at 13 to go live in another country with another family.
Yeah.
And it seems like your family did that 3 times. That's very different to what we're used to here, but it's
Yeah.
probably not super uncommon in other countries, but in America it's very uncommon.
Yeah. I'd say it's uncommon there too.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
good. I didn't know. I thought, well, they did it 3 times in a row. Maybe that's just like what they do. I was a little taken back by that. But like, how was it? How was that for you? Being around other leaders, other pastors. Like, did it affect that at all for you, or no?
No.
Good.
Yeah. I would say it didn't.
Oh, perfect.
Like,
Sorry, I'm still stuck on, like, it's normal.
Well, I didn't know, but I just.
it might be normal.
I said it's unusual. I thought, oh, thank God, man. I couldn't imagine like the whole country sending all their kids away at 13.
No, I mean, maybe that is happening under the radar. Someone might be telling someone to
Sure.
do that, but yeah, for our family, it was definitely a unique thing for our family. My mom was from Iowa, Michigan. I have a ton of family here, blood family here, and my mom went to Honduras and married my dad, who lives in a third world country, and he is attached to the country. He's got a church down there and his whole family down there.
Yeah.
And so they did some interesting things. They had 5 kids. All 5 of us have American first names and Hispanic middle names because my mom always knew she wanted us to end up in the U.S.
Sure.
Maybe pursuing a better future than what she had agreed to do
Yeah.
by marrying my dad. So the plan was always homeschool us through high school, send us to a family to go to college, and do something with
That's
our lives.
brilliant.
So with her passing, I just ended up going a lot quicker.
Okay.
And pastor's kid comment, the big frustration for me as a pastor's kid was I always had to be on. Like I couldn't. I remember my dad talking to me about such and such person saw you riding your bike through traffic. And like he would always talk to me about you're representing the church when you're out.
Sure.
That was a big, like, I just couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a really problematic for me. But that was like the one thing that I remember.
No, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
like
like,
you don't have freedom to be a kid,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because for some reason you should be perfect because you're a pastor's kid, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
You should show all the other kids how to be kids,
Right.
right?
Yeah, right.
That was that was one thing we tried really hard to not allow the church to do that to our kids.
Sure.
Right, and we never asked our kids to perform. If they were grumpy or frustrated,
Yeah.
that was cool, And when people would come to us to tell us things our kids did wrong, we'd say thank you and wouldn't really say much to him about it.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't see him do it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want. I mean, I think as a church family, like the church definitely helped me and made me be a better mom and dad, for sure. But it was my job to raise my son,
Yeah.
and I wanted their wisdom, but I didn't want them putting standards on my kids that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And I think we actually figured that out because we'd sat down and talked to a kid of someone. They said the exact same thing. The hardest thing was that they could never make a mistake.
Sure.
And even a little mistake was always blown into huge.
Yeah.
And so we really tried hard. I'm sure we screwed it up once or twice. I'm sure we did. But I hope not too many times. But
you're normal parents, and
We
that's
are.
okay.
we are normal parents,
Yeah.
yeah. I try to remind my kids all the time that we were growing up as they thought we were adults.
Yeah.
You know, still trying to figure it out.
That's been something interesting. You know, we have kids, and like, this kid thinks I'm dad. Like,
Oh, right, like you're supposed to know everything.
I don't know.
You're supposed to have it all together.
I don't have anything together. I can just change your diaper. That's about it.
I can change your diaper and get your mom to do everything else.
There you go. Yeah.
Genius.
Can't make-
That's how you lock it in, man.
Yeah, genius. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. I wanted to hear that part of your story. It was kind of new and just your experience, and so thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
So yeah, back to being a Christian. So, Christian, saved for as long as I can remember. One thing my dad was very poignant on was he wanted to make sure that before I leave his church and go to the U.S. that I was baptized. And so that was like a big thing.
Sure.
And he didn't want it to be, I wanted to be baptized right away. And
Right.
he wanted me to like understand and wanted to make sure it was my decision.
Yeah.
So on my birthday when I turned 12, I was baptized. And then when I turned 13, I left. And so
Wow.
like, that was cool.
That is cool.
Experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And church down there is totally different than church.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's
What's it like?
Well, we met in our garage.
Come on.
And it's just like a group of, 40 people.
Wow.
And it's
In a
ver-
garage?
In our garage, yeah. So garages are like lean-tos, you would say.
Okay. Yep.
Because
Do you know what a lean-to is?
it leans too?
It leans to the house, yeah.
There you go. Yeah,
So like
see?
it's attached to the house like on an angle. It has usually like two poles. It's kind of
Yeah.
open air.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So my dad's church was very, there was speaking in tongues, there's miracles,
Sure.
there was prophecy,
That's awesome.
very excited clapping,
Yeah.
lively worship, the whole thing.
So cool.
Yeah. So coming here to the point, like when we found the point and came here, I think the very first thing was like, at that point we had been married, or maybe not married, or about to be married.
Sure.
One of those.
One
It,
of
it
them.
happened before, and it's done now. But it was. but the thing that I remember was like when I walked in, just the whole
Yeah.
worship and the whole
Yeah.
vibe. I was like, man, this just takes me right back to my dad's church where I felt at
So
home,
cool.
and so it was really cool.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's really good. And then how about for you? Tell us about your journey.
Not as crazy.
You're from Canada. They sent you away at 3.
Which is totally normal.
Which is totally normal in
Everybody does
Canada.
Yeah, I was born in a Christian family.
Nice.
I accepted God into my heart when I was 3. And a part of it, I think my memory is my parents telling me what happened. And like,
Sure.
I feel like I do still have that memory,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure which part is my parents telling me and
Right.
whatever. But I ran up to my mom when I was 3, and I'm like, Jesus came out of my heart and talked to me. And
So
asked,
cool.
and I asked him if he could live in my heart, and he said yes. And so we had a hug, and then he went back into my heart. And so I remember that.
This is
but,
the greatest story of all time. That is amazing.
So
Like a
anyway,
little Care Bear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we had a hug, and then he went back into my
Oh,
heart.
I love it.
So yeah, and I didn't really waver. Like I
Come on.
stayed Christian, and I had highs and lows, like
Yeah.
everyone does.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, and I grew up and found a great husband and had
Where'd he go?
kids. What? Where'd he go?
Wow.
That was bad.
That was good, right? So you found a great husband.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
right there in front
Gonna
of
have
us.
to find a dab on that guy.
Now, tell us how you guys met?
We met at Tech, it stands for Teens Encountering Christ, and it's just
Nice.
basically a long weekend where they like black out all the windows, take all your devices and whatever, and take you through the Stations of the Cross in as many different ways as
very cool.
like you can take, just
Yeah.
to like really solidify like what God went through for you. And actually, I went through the weekend, and he was giving a talk, and I saw him.
What's a talk?
Oh, just like gave his testimony.
Sure. Yep.
And I saw him, and God told me, like almost audibly, like, that's your husband. You're gonna marry him someday.
Oh, that's
And I was
love
like
that.
14, whatever.
You were
Oh,
14?
wait, no,
Like
Really?
really young.
Wow.
Like freshman, and I
In
was
high
not gonna get
school?
married or have kids. Yeah.
So at 14, you had solidified in yourself you're never getting married, never having kids.
I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Mandy was the
Yeah.
same.
that's exactly the
Be
same way.
independent, do what I want.
I wouldn't
and-
even babysit. That is how
What?
sick my kids
yeah.
Wow.
Not
No way.
interested.
No,
No thanks.
thank
Hey,
you.
hey, I understand the struggle.
For real.
Jeez.
You have had it so rough.
Oh, it's gonna be a long car ride home, but it was worth it.
But yes, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Single, independent woman, like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that worked out.
Definitely did.
So, anyways, we didn't really end up talking for a few years later, and we were on the same team doing it. And we started talking, and then we talked after the weekend, and we decided to hang out. I'm like, great, we'll hang out, whatever. And they asked me out at this bonfire, and I was like, no thanks. So I just walked away and
Let's
went
give
home.
some context here.
Please do, please do. Was she still 14 at this point?
No, it was a few years later.
Okay.
I think you were 16
Like
at that
16,
point.
yeah.
16, yeah.
So,
to your daughter's age.
No way.
yeah, so we're into each other, and
Yeah.
we're on Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
I'm telling her
Everything.
everything.
You're just an open
yeah,
book.
everything, open book,
Vulnerable,
Yeah.
caring, great communicator.
right?
I know the game.
All those things. Yeah. I went on her Facebook page, stalked her music likes,
Yes.
listened to them, found some that I liked, shared them with her as if it was a new share, and then she was
Come
like,
on.
"This guy likes the same music." that I
Dude,
do."
you had
All those
strong
tricks.
game, man.
So then we get to this bonfire. I asked her out, and she was like, "I don't know you that well." What do you mean you don't know me?
Girl, we're like soulmates. I sent you the
What
same
else?
song.
What else you want?
How many times you thought that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. So
Okay,
you
carry
say
on.
no.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then he, whatever, blocks me from his life for 2 years.
What's the real story?
That is real, you guys.
Did
He
you?
blocked you on
I
Facebook?
did not block you from it.
What'd you do?
I tried my hardest to get anybody else. I was going after
He would
everybody.
slip waitresses his phone number.
I was in a graphic design class at the
Sure.
time.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with slipping a phone number here and there. Let me just say that's how I picked up Carl. Just saying.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Slid him a phone number when he was with his girlfriend.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
With the girlfriend.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
word.
Glad we share that a lot.
Oh yeah.
So you're in graphic design.
Yeah, so this is advice I wouldn't give to anybody. Like,
Yes.
this is something not to do, but I had the ability to make T-shirts, and so I made a T-shirt that said "Girlfriend Wanted" with my phone number on it. And so, like, I was trying to, I was
No,
like,
wait,
I
no.
want a girlfriend.
I have a picture.
Did
Yeah, she has a
not.
picture. I
That
have
is
that.
definitely
That is
advice
somewhere.
you should never.
That's like things you don't do, is that.
You put your phone number out there.
Yeah. And let me tell you what.
Was it your real number?
It was my real number. And tell you what, it never worked.
Shocking. Shocking.
Oh, God was saving you for her. That's what it
Yeah.
was.
All my tactics were terrible.
So how
sorry.
did
I was like,
so
okay.
how did you then now Like, what happened to bring
Did
you?
she see you with your T-shirt on?
Yeah, like,
Probably. One of my jerk friends took a picture and posted it on Facebook, and so I'm sure she saw it.
Dude, how old were you when you made this shirt?
Like 17, 18,
Okay.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
which is, I think,
No,
acceptable.
no, it's not.
It's not acceptable.
No, it's not. No, if there's anybody at home watching this and you think that might be a good idea, no.
Do not do that.
Do not do that. That is such a. 'Cause I'll give you anything for a copy of that picture.
Upload it to this.
Yeah, it can be our background.
Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of things going for me, but Tori also, me and my brother from the family that I moved in.
Yeah.
We were in the same grade, very close, really good friends. He had a girlfriend that similar situation he was really into, didn't work out. I was really into Tori, didn't work out.
Yeah.
And so we shared our open house when we graduated high school. So without him knowing, I invited him or her. Without me knowing, he invites Tori.
No way.
How did you receive that?
As a joke.
Yeah.
As a joke?
And so I didn't have a lot of good things going. Like, I didn't
Wow.
know that this was happening.
As a joke?
I knew he wasn't happy with me when I said no.
Sure. Okay. So did you
He
go?
was just understanding.
You did not go.
No, but anyways, so
And neither did his other girl.
No way.
Yeah, she never.
Did he marry her?
No.
Okay, just checking.
but anyways, like 2 years passed, and then we both attended the last tech that we could before we graduated high school.
Sure.
And then it so happened we were on the same team again, and he was serving with my mom, and I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do this. And I was like, you have to do this.
Like,
I'm
last time you can do it forever, right?
Yeah.
Because you're done, yeah.
Yeah,
Last time.
so she made me go through with my commitment, and then by the end of the tech weekend, like, we were back on speaking terms again.
Oh,
like,
nice.
It wasn't awkward anymore. So then I knew he was going to reach out to me after the weekend, so I deleted my Facebook so that I could control when we were going to talk next.
Bro,
So
let me tell you, I know this struggle.
So now, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
I haven't blocked her like she thinks I
Wow.
have. And so I'm like, I'm going to go on Facebook and reach out to her.
Yeah.
Like, we just had a great weekend. We were talking.
Yeah, there's a connection,
And
obviously.
then I'm like, she blocked me? Because she deleted her Facebook. At
Wow.
what point during these 2 years did she block me?
Oh my goodness.
Whatever.
So you delete your Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at like 4 a.m., I get it back, and I message him asking to hang out on like my terms.
What did you think when you got that message?
So I went to bed kind of bummed. I'm like,
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that weekend, God spoke to me too about her and told me the whole story of the guy that's digging in the field finds treasure. It's
absolutely.
like the kingdom of God. So that story kept on coming up for me during the weekend, and Tori's name kept on coming up. Like, she's the treasure. You need to find her. Like, you need to do everything you can to get to Tori.
Wow,
like,
that's amazing.
That's totally taken out of the intended context.
I
but that's
understand.
how
That's how you received it.
yeah. And so I was like, man, like, okay, she blocked me on Facebook, but you know what? I can find her number. I've been texting her mom because we're leaders on this group, and so, like, I can get to Tori. So I went to bed and I was like, okay, it is what it is. Wake up the next morning, her message like, best day ever.
Dude, I bet you were pumped.
I was pumped.
Did you throw away your shirt instantly then?
I think by then it maybe had been burned.
Good.
Yeah.
So you answer her. Tell
Yeah.
us about the first date, guys.
Yeah, it was great.
We went to John Paul Zoo, and he had to borrow money from his mom to take me.
What a
Yeah.
guy. Good job, buddy.
Thanks.
Good job, man. Don't be
Yeah.
ashamed.
Yeah.
That's totally fine, dude.
Oh.
How old were you?
I don't know, 18.
Yeah.
To the point where, like, I should have
Should have had a couple of bucks.
had a couple of bucks
Yeah.
to take her on a date. Like, especially if I was trying to get girls, like I should. Yeah. But
It panned out.
it panned
worked
out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took her to John Paul Zoo. We didn't look at any animals. We just walked around the whole time.
Oh, so cool.
Probably 4 hours, just talked the whole time.
Yeah.
So we had a great time. And then I drop her off and pull into her driveway, turn the car off, lock the doors.
Oh, no.
You did not.
And I said, so why'd you ask me out?
Oh, that's not what I thought was going to happen.
I'm like,
So you locked her in the
I
car.
locked her in the car.
Oh, I see.
I locked
Okay.
her in the car.
Then wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Disclaimer. Any dude ever locks you in a car, the date is over.
So we had a really great date.
Yeah, so you're in prisoner.
So then I wanted to get to the bottom of this because
Yeah.
there'd been so much turmoil
Yes.
in our past, and
Yes.
we had a really great time. You know, we went from her not wanting to talk to me to now wanting
Yeah.
to go out with me. So I took her to the zoo, had a great time, locked her in, just said, why are we here? You know, like, is this a joke? Like, did your friends put you up to this?
Right.
Like, I borrowed money for this, okay?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So then she's like, well, I like you. And so I said, okay, cool, thanks. And then,
And you let her out of the car?
Did you unlock the
Yeah,
car?
that's exactly what he did.
Like,
And
what
drove
else
away.
was she gonna say? The car's locked. She can't escape. I like you. I like you.
Oh my god.
it wasn't like that.
That is, I mean, it is the cutest thing I've ever heard.
Also the weird.
Oh, yeah.
So then,
So you say I like you.
So I've got zero game. Like, I don't know how I got Tori, but yeah.
Yeah, anyways, so then we end up talking. He asked me out, and I said yes, but I was also leaving to go to Chicago for college. So I'm like, if this doesn't work, I'll never see him again. So I was cold-hearted,
No,
ruthless.
you don't say. you don't. How do you feel right now, hon?
I feel like I was a little angel.
I'm really sorry about the comparison.
Ouch.
So you go to Chicago. Clearly,
So
you guys made it work.
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
I think what Tori had heard from God that she was gonna marry me.
Yeah.
And so like.
Right, but she just totally ignored that.
Yeah, she was trying to be
pushed it.
Jonah
Yeah.
and like
Just
Right.
just escaped.
do everything I can to not make that happen. And then God had told me to pursue her, and so I was pursuing her.
Clearly
So
by
cool.
imprisonment. Right.
You know, some
Right.
tactics have worked. some
Yeah,
haven't,
whatever.
but yeah.
So, did you go on any more dates before you went to Chicago?
Yeah, a couple.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
So you go to Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
and then he just kept calling. Like, how did that work?
Yeah, he sent packages. He wanted to call every day, and I was going for music education, so
Yeah.
I was taking like 24 credits, which
wow.
full time is 21. So
Oh,
I
wow.
was like working my butt off, and he's calling me all the time. Wants to talk about feelings and life, and
I would write her letters. I would
No way!
like
He did a
handwrite
lot.
some letters.
yeah, make me CDs of music.
Are you
Oh,
kidding?
oh, that was actually,
Yeah.
I love
Would
that.
send me Visa cards if I need money for like laundry and stuff. Groceries,
that's
so.
amazing.
And he was really sweet.
Yeah.
And at the
How long were you in Chicago for?
just one semester, so like
okay.
6 months, and then which is
But
kind
I'm
of
the reason for that.
what?
I'm the reason for that, right?
What?
Well, just go ahead and tell. I'll just let you.
Great! This is the greatest thing ever. So you're in college, career's going strong. He's borrowing money from his mom and sending you cards.
None of that money was borrowed. Okay, I'll tell you that.
So you're in college, and
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, I kind of hit a point where I'd have to either choose between schooling or Jesse because
Yeah.
both were too much, and I had to just choose one. So it's kind of part of my faith story where like I asked God where going to school I didn't.
Yeah,
I
that's good.
went there because I felt passionate about it, but
Yeah.
it wasn't me partnering with God asking, is this what you want? So I asked God, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to break up with him, or do you want me to pursue this music career? And all he told me is he wanted me out of debt. And I got on a free ride, but the living expenses was what I was going into debt for.
Yeah.
And Chicago is just insane, the
It is.
prices of
Right.
everything. So I obeyed him, and I moved back, and then we were married like 6 months later. Right?
It was
A
a
year
year
later?
and a half later or
Year
something.
and a half.
like that.
Yeah.
6 months later, but
I
it
don't
was
know.
4 years.
It was fast.
It was really
So
fast.
a year and a half later, you got married.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what year was that?
2013.
Wow, that's amazing.
I saw that test. You were testing me. Yeah. Yeah, we got married just about 2 years after we had first started dating.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. It was fun.
Wow.
for
And
you.
now you guys have 3 little boys, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, widely considered some of the cutest boys on the
I
planet.
totally agree.
Widely considered.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
So how long have you guys been married?
Be 8 years this year.
So cool.
And you have 3 little boys that are very close in age, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very close in age.
What type of wisdom would you talk into like a young mom right now, real quick, of their life is chaotic, they have 3 little boys, they're all similar in age. Like, what advice would you give them as you're going through it right now?
Wow.
I feel like someone needs to give us advice.
Yeah, what would you say?
Your kids are 3 kids close in age.
Well,
right?
2 of them are close in age.
2 of them-
Nicole's,
Okay.
They're
Nicole's 2 years
16.
difference between
Yeah.
Chandler and Nicole.
I
So-
mean, the advice that I would give, honestly, is I know this sounds so cliche, but it will go by a lot quicker than what
Yeah.
you think it's going to. So I wish I had sat down a little bit more and just enjoyed the
Yeah.
chaos
Yeah.
Yeah.
instead of freaking out about the chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, hear me, you are gonna freak out,
Yeah.
right? It's a lot, but I never understood that saying, it goes by in a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
Because literally, it does.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like it in the middle of it, but
Well,
I mean,
yeah, for a lot of it doesn't feel like it.
right.
honestly,
But looking
yeah.
back at like how quickly it's gone, I would definitely say enjoy the chaos in the dishes and laundry,
Yeah.
and always wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting because I think very often I mean for me, right? I've never ever looked back at my time with my kids in my home and thought, man, I wish I had worked more hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, wish I'd seen them less. It's never popped in my head. You know, And I think sometimes as a dad, you just want to provide. You don't want your kids not to be able to get something.
Yeah.
You don't want your wife to go without anything. And I think
Amen.
so much of my focus for our marriage when our kids were little was making sure I provided well. But that meant I missed most of the soccer games. You know, and I missed a lot. You know, I was working sometimes 7 in the morning till 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, and I missed out on a lot of things. And if I could do it over, I wouldn't have missed so much. You know, but I wouldn't have. And also, I would have released myself from this belief system I had to be perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's one of my favorite things about the gospel,
Yeah.
right? Is Jesus calls us to excellence, but completely sets us free from perfection.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think sometimes as parents, you can get into, you know, you want your kids to be perfect. You want them to be quiet. You want them to be good. You want them to sit still. You want them to not make a mess. You want them not to punch the person when they come in the door. And I think, no, it's kind of funny when the kid punches somebody.
Oh.
You know, like it's like you're letting your kids be kids and not demanding perfection out of them.
Right.
It's such a huge aspect. You know,
Yeah.
I remember, I'll never forget, man, Austin was like 2 years old. So, you know, it was Christmas. And Mandy's grandma Gandy, great grandma Gandy, was in a chair. And Austin walked right up to her and kicked her as hard as he could in the shin. And like the whole family was furious, and I was like, "It'll heal."
And she was like,
She was old, right? But I thought, like, I'm not gonna make this on Christmas. I'm not gonna make this kid feel like he
Yeah.
just did the worst thing on the planet. Although it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like she's gonna forgive him here in a few minutes when the bleeding stops. And I remember that moment because I was very grateful that I didn't chew him out, make him cry all day and feel bad all day because he
Yeah.
wasn't nervous to go around Grandma Gandy a few moments later. You know, he did understand not to kick her again. But you know, it's this aspect of like, man, this is like some of the best times of your life.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is.
Also, one of the loneliest.
100%.
You know, how old are your kids?
4, 2, and 9 months.
Ask me how many friends I had when my kids were 4, 2, and 9 months.
Only other people
Zip.
before. Only
Yeah.
other people.
She was mad at me all the time. It was all
I've got
my
one
fault.
You and
man.
Jesus, right?
You know, it was, it's probably like the loneliest time. And I
Yeah.
think,
Because you have other mom friends or other
Right.
couple friends, but you're actually too busy dealing with your
Yeah.
own kids, and to get everybody together kind of just seems like a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
Like there's just you're outnumbered,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
moms get together, you're outnumbered by the kids, so good luck. So it is a very lonely time,
is.
Yeah.
but it's also the best season. I thought that I just loved that season.
Yeah.
it was interesting because all of our friends were single. We got married very young, had kids very young. All of our friends were still single, single, and they weren't around.
Yeah.
They lost them all. And then we would meet new moms. We'd meet other families that maybe had kids running race with them. We didn't have any history with these people. We weren't connected to them. We weren't
Yeah.
part of a church. It was
Yeah.
very hard to find friends with like-minded goals and whatnot.
Yeah.
And also parenting style.
Yeah.
Well, you want to talk about an argument? Have a different parenting style from someone else, right? And I don't think anybody's ever thought they're doing a worse job. Everybody, if you thought there was a better way, you'd probably do that, right? And
yeah.
so I think those are things you just kind of have to learn how to navigate. But
Yeah.
I watch you guys as parents.
Yeah.
You're great parents. Phenomenal.
Thanks.
And we had you guys over the house, and it was so much fun. You guys are a ton of fun. You're hilarious. You're fun. You're funny. But this is a time for you to focus on your family, on your home, and
Yeah.
I think I would just encourage you not to work too much.
Yeah,
Right?
that's like my piece of advice too.
Yeah.
To other families is like, you've got 3 kids running around, but don't forget about the relationship between you or your wife.
100%.
100%.
I think, I forget who I was talking to, but kids need parents to have sex.
Yeah,
That's
this is very
great
true.
advice.
That's a really good advice.
Like if mom and dad are connected, they're going to be so much better for the kids.
Absolutely. Yep.
And individually, mom and dad need to be connected to Jesus, and then there's so much
100%.
peace in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard a story one time on Dave Ramsey. This lady called about wanting to get out of debt, but her husband had a truck, and the truck payment was keeping them in debt. And Dave just said, so basically your husband's putting the truck in front of you wanting to be out of debt.
Yeah.
That just hit me.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? Some things are just gonna have to wait, but the kids will only be young now.
That's
and so
100%
like,
true. Enjoy.
I'm already doing what you said of
Yeah.
not working so much. Like
Yeah,
5
that's a
o'clock
good
rolls
job.
around and I'm home.
Good for you,
Oh,
man.
good job.
And sometimes some days it's not possible, but
No, I get it, yeah.
most every day is I'm home.
I wish I had your maturity when my kids were the same age, right?
Me too.
Yeah. I bet you
I'm
do.
kidding,
I
I'm
bet you do. But it's a great season to have an understanding of that. I think it's great wisdom. I also completely agree. Right? I tell people all the time, you want to make sure in your marriage when you have young kids, you talk more and you make out more. And then the third piece of that is have more fun doing both.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so important. You got enough stress in your world. You don't need to add something to it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think watching you guys, I think I've been so you recently came to the campus week. Me and Amanda lead probably 6 months ago or so.
Yeah.
But you were here right when we first opened, right when we came back from COVID.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are just like a ray of sunshine. Like I was so excited you were here. And I remember talking to a friend of mine at church that I'm pretty close to. I was like, man, I really hope they stay. And the person was like, I think they're good. And I was like, awesome. And I want all of our campuses to have you guys in it, but I selfishly wanted you at our campus because there's just
Well,
this.
now we know that locking people.
Yeah, like if I had known that, I'd just lock the doors, bro. You're like, why are you here?
That changes everything.
It may have worked.
And I remember there was a time when you went back to the campus you were at, which is an amazing campus. And I remember I was like sad, man. Like, this is a bummer. Like I really enjoyed having you guys there, and now having you back, I think you guys are going to impact so many young families, and we have a lot of young families there, and it's a great place for for you guys just to step into your gift. Watch, both of you are amazing on worship. To watch you guys engage with the worship team, it's been, man, what an amazing testimony, right? You got 3 kids under 5. You have your own business, and you both serve at church almost every week, right? At least you rotate it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a powerful testimony of God's goodness to you guys, and
For sure.
I gotta tell you, your relationship story's got to be one of my favorites.
I agree.
It's got to be one of my
amazing.
favorites.
It's amazing.
It's so good.
And you guys are a blessing, and I'm just super excited to see what goes on in your guys' future, what you have to offer, and just thank you for being open and honest and real.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, we do want to say that going to this campus has been like a ray of sunshine for us too, because juggling 3 kids and with one person serving, it can be like crazy, and they're loud in the back, and you're like, I only came here to glean a little bit so that I can move on in my life and make it through the week, right? And you guys just don't care. Like, my kid is rolling on the ground screaming half the time during worship, and I'm nursing one, and the other one is trying to pick something off of somebody off the floor, and I'm just like, whatever, like, we're here. So we appreciate the grace and the space to just be ourselves with what we have right now.
You guys have, like, still, I think too, if I say this to every young couple, but I really want you to take this, is don't discount what God can do through you in this season. Just because you don't have as much time to be at everything. You can't be at everything in a young family. God will use you in a powerful
100%.
way, right? And you came the other week, I was talking to somebody about this, you guys came the other week, and your kids were clearly sick. Right, I felt so bad for them. Right, I was like, they are not feeling well, and I think you were on worship, and you had them in the back, and I thought, I can't remember what I was doing. I was doing something, but they clearly, like, I think one was like nose was running. I was like, they are grumpy right now. And then you guys left midway. You guys had to leave midway through the meeting. And so I was actually going to pick up something for church after church with someone else. He said, man, I can't believe she came to church with them kids. He's like, that's really cool. I'm like, it was really cool. But it's those little things about you guys that you do support each other, you do champion each other. And it's so clear in your relationship. So I just wanted to encourage you that people notice, and it touches them and changes them. And, I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
So good job, guys.
Good job.
Good job. Listen, this was a riot.
Yes.
I loved every
you.
minute of it. This was fantastic. Tell me one thing. The one thing that you would tell anybody on the planet that Jesus has changed the most in your life.
That has impacted us the most?
Yes.
Can I go?
Go ahead.
More recently is having a true revelation about my identity in Christ, which seems so remedial. But if you don't have that revelation, then you don't truly understand how you're seen, and then you can't treat people the way God sees other people, right? And impact them. And there's just such revelation in that, if you can understand who you are in Christ and your value and your worth, and you're like literally his masterpiece. And if you can see yourself like that, then you can look at other people that way and treat them how they're supposed to be treated, right?
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
That's really good. Follow that up.
Oh boy. Well, for me, the biggest thing, for a long time, I've been saved for a long time, but when Jesus really when I fully understood what he did for me, was, I was living with this family. I'm away from my house. I didn't have any of my parents, didn't have my relatives, in a new school, didn't have any friends. No one understood me. I've got a Rodriguez in West Michigan. Girl doesn't even like me.
T-shirt ain't working at all.
T-shirt ain't working. And I've had a lot of hurts and my mom and all that stuff. So I felt very alone, and I felt like there was nobody that could relate to me. Nobody could understand. Yeah. Nobody could relate to me. And it just became real, when you cast your sins upon the cross, Jesus understands, literally to the exact feeling that I was having at that time. Jesus felt that, he understands that.
So good.
And it just it was such a release, man, when I understood that. I was like, oh great, there's someone else like Jesus, and he took it, and that's gone, that's great.
Dude, that's awesome.
So that's been co-laboring with Jesus, taking
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
yoke off of me.
So good,
That
man.
that was like the biggest thing for me that Jesus has done. Yeah.
That's brilliant. Guys, this was absolutely a
Aw,
pleasure.
thank you guys so
We've loved
much.
every second of this. So thank you so much. And we just love you and appreciate you guys so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Same.
You guys too.
Thank you.